Hey, welcome to What the Flick and our discussion of True Detective. Robert Abele, Ben Mankiewicz, Alonzo is away this week. So this is the second episode of the show, and we learned, Robert, a significant amount more about McConaughey's background, about sort of what Rust had been doing, how he got to where. First of all, I just learned his name was Rustin.
Yeah, Rustin, right. I know you. Every time they said Rust, I thought, do they mean Russell or is it Rust?
Right, do they mean Rusty? Like, what's the?
It's Rustin, yes.
It's Rustin, yeah. So we learn sort of where he's been and the difficult road he's had since, obviously, the death of his 2-year-old daughter.
Yeah, it includes a stint in a psych ward in Lubbock, Texas.
Right.
That was spurred by being undercover and getting shot and killing people, and it's like there's.
And then we had in week one, we had the wonderful dinner table scene where they ask, have you fired your gun and have you killed anyone, and we don't get an answer. And now we know it's four. There's a cop who's killed four people.
Four people.
Yeah.
And his child has died, and that's why he saw the ghostly apparition of his daughter in the first episode.
Right.
And now we know he's also seeing things, and which is the name of the episode, Seeing Things. He's got these apparitions that I do love the way McConaughey acts the scenes of seeing stuff. He doesn't overdo it. It's almost like, there's that thing, and I'm gonna muddle my way through it. No, it's not real, but I'm just gonna deal with it.
Right, I gotta wait this out. Right.
Yeah, and so we find out all this stuff, but it seems like what the stuff you learn about Woody Harrelson's character is I would say more interesting, but it seems to point to a more problematic psychology in Woody Harrelson than in Matthew McConaughey.
What do you mean? Like what?
Well, because he just seems like a Woody Harrelson. Now we know he's a hypocrite. He doesn't, these things he says about life and he doesn't really actually do. And Matthew McConaughey, that whatever he's going to say, whatever crazy thing he says, he truly believes it, and it comes from experience of having been to dark places. And Woody Harrelson doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that he's cheating on his wife. I mean, he seems to think
he's got it registered in his head, or he explains it away as helping the family because I can't bring the hideous things I see home.
Right.
And I suspect that there are some cops who do that. I don't know that they.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it's like it's
and men and plenty of men.
Strangely realistic and treating it in a way that I've not seen a show treat it as something that is real but upsetting.
Yeah. And then that scene that they had together when Harrelson's been out all night with his mistress, comes home. I didn't even, I don't know, did he call? Who knows, right? But came home all night, and then McConaughey knows it, and I don't even know whether Harrelson overreacted, whether McConaughey was being passive aggressive or just.
Well, I mean, okay. Remember the first episode? I mean, I actually did pick up on this. There's that moment in the squad room where a woman comes and brings stuff for Harrelson, and they take off,
totally.
and you pick up on something odd there right away, and obviously McConaughey picked up on that.
I said out loud to my wife, I'm like, the least subtle people in the history of having affairs.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yes, there you are, Irina,
right.
of course.
But there was that actress had no other moment in that first episode, and now we know who she is in this episode.
We knew we were going to get her.
And
right.
So McConaughey's picked up on that, and
right. And the great thing about his subtlety is that he sees that, but he doesn't. And of the direction, we don't get we don't zoom in on him. We don't get a moment where he looks. He's like, all right. They're sleeping together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, their locker room confrontation was fantastic because McConaughey's just kind of treating it like, will you just not bring your shit here so that we can get the job done of solving this crime, but it just totally upsets Woody Harrelson, who thinks he's got it all worked out.
Right, and what I thought was great, the line of McConaughey's about the whatever sort of, and I'm paraphrasing it, I've screwed it up, I didn't write it down, the whatever self-loathing.
Oh yeah,
you've got to work out
in the morning. Yeah,
right, you got to work out now. Like that's your business. Like
yes,
I'm not.
Yes.
And then, do we think he could have broken his hands? Or was he like?
Of course, yeah. I totally believe that. But then again, yeah.
But even if he couldn't, the mere fact that he put it in Harrelson and Woody's head, that he could have. Yeah.
No, I mean,
is it worth whatever self-loathing you got to do today? Is it worth losing both your hands?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
This episode had a lot of great lines. I mean, I loved the line that McConaughey had about about his life now with working 4 nights, living behind a, and then and he knows himself now, and that's a victory of sorts.
Yeah, right.
That's just a fantastic line.
Yeah, and I kept thinking, like, this is a guy who knows he's got whatever, 4 years to live, 6 years to live, 8 years to live. I mean, he's like, he's comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, after the first episode tries to make you think that McConaughey is a kook who is hiding something,
I think
it might be unreliable. I think he's now the reliable character, and Woody Harrelson is the one that you think is possibly not like the murder or anything, but I mean just somebody that you will upset things as it goes along.
Yeah, and do we think? And then we saw, I hate to, and I know because you've seen a tiny part of episode 3, so we'll try and I hate talking about what's coming up next. I usually skip them, but I saw it this time. And so we did see in what appears to be, and of course, they can edit these things to significantly throw you off, but a scene involving the mistress and McConaughey. And to me, I wonder whether McConaughey would make a play for the mistress.
Oh, well, I thought that was kind of interesting. I watched watched last night's episode, I've seen it twice now, and I didn't even catch until the second time that when McConaughey talks about a relationship he's had since his wife, he says, "Maggie set me up."
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, so."
Right.
And I didn't know who he mentioned the name, and I've already forgotten the name. But I mean, I just think, okay, so there's a relationship being set up clearly soon between Harrelson's wife and McConaughey. That will be interesting.
It strikes me that McConaughey, and I don't know whether this is what the coming attraction told us or not, but McConaughey is the kind of guy who would learn of the significance of that affair that Harrelson is having with the clerk or whatever she is, right? And he would think, I'm going to sleep with that girl because I'm going to preserve, because this idiot doesn't know how good his family is. Or even if it's not that active, but his desire, he wanted to stay at dinner once he recognized it was okay, that it was nice. That's a thing to preserve. That's a wife and 2 daughters and people who love him. He likes that. And that's why I think clearly, I think you're right. McConaughey is going to have some relationship. I doubt very seriously that it's a physical relationship, but some connection with Maggie.
Well, yeah, going back to that first episode, but I mean, that dinner scene was amazing because, McConaughey is, character doesn't want to play along with the ruse that Woody Harrelson would set up to that, he's got to go. McConaughey goes, no, I should stay here. This is good for me. And then he opens up about something and tells you the truth about something, whereas Woody Harrelson wanted a ruse to get McConaughey out of there. And so Woody Harrelson, we're finding out that Woody Harrelson, his character, likes to live by this idea that you keep something secret and you don't talk about them. Right. And initially that was very amusing and fun to have him, talk about in the first episode, you're such a kook. I think we're going to find out that that's going to be maybe a problem, and that McConaughey, by being open all the time, it may bring things out. It may help solve this case.
Yeah, and in fact, if anybody missed that, Harrelson has the line to the 2 new detectives about how, talking about his father, he's still going to kick my ass. Men in those days didn't come home and tell her that wasn't part of the job description, and he's clearly being wistful about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
that's a great moment too. No, those are fantastic.
But yeah, so the Harrelson, oddly enough, by telling us more of McConaughey's backstory and the mania surrounding him. He actually does, he became less crazy.
And he's more sympathetic, I think, now.
Oh, much more sympathetic, yeah.
Yeah, whereas you look at the way Woody Harrelson acts in that scene with his mistress, and you think, he's not going to like when things go south.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And by the way, in asking about whether she was out with another guy, he's not worried about her safety. It's total jealousy.
And he's unfair to his wife in that scene they have in the kitchen.
Completely.
I mean, she's making completely valid points, and he's playing dirty pool, but bringing up her mother, and you're just like, okay, all right.
Yeah, no, he became significantly less sympathetic. And do you think he's married still in 2012?
They haven't hinted at anything like that.
No, they haven't.
So I'm guessing. You never know. Of course, you never know. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I mean, I'm asking for just a total guess. You don't know. I'm going to go with no.
What I do hope is that, I love that we're getting the timeline of the current day interviews. I really hope in episodes to come, if the McConaughey interview with the two detectives now it stays a thread. I just want to see like Lone Star cans like line up in front of him until you can't see him. I would love if that became like a thing where all of a sudden you just saw like more and more Lone Star beer
it's
cans.
only $5 for a six-pack. That's what we learned there.
Yeah.
Very quickly then, do we think they're asking McConaughey and asking Woody Harrelson about McConaughey's process? They seem much more interested in McConaughey.
Right.
I guess they're leaving some hint of whether they think he could possibly be involved, because again, he was there at the time, he vanished, then the murders start again. Mm-hmm. Clearly, that is a thought that they must have had. Or do they know this guy was smart back then and we just need his help?
Yeah, that the motive of the two detectives now is still very intriguing and still kind of a mystery, I think. But I started to believe that what they were looking for is his help, is McConaughey's help, but that he might have that he's been thinking about it ever since, and he can come up with something.
I wonder whether there'll be an accusation moment that we'll get past, but I'm curious. Those guys have been made even in the limited dialogue that they have and the little that they've had to do. Though they have managed to make those guys, unlike the Kevin Dunn's character back in '95, obviously unlike the chief of the state police, the sort of lurking, menacing Dick Cheney figure in the blue in the blue uniform, and the governor and the governor's cousin, the Reverend Tuttle. Those people are all guys you'd wish were not in charge. Those are not leaders of men.
No.
But they are, in fact, leaders, unfortunately. But these two cops now, like, to me, they've been made to seem diligent, sympathetic, even in the limited what they have. Like instinctively, I trust those guys. The way they have them look at each other, like they're partners, they like each other, they got each other's back. So, I don't know. I'm eager to know more.
I mean, I just hope it does, as long as it doesn't do what The Killing did the first season and like throw red herrings that just have nothing to do with the storyline. Ultimately, I think we're in good hands still with the and I just find it interesting that like the stuff between McConaughey and Harrelson is so good, and the stuff with their private lives is so good that I am finding myself after a scene like when at Harrelson's in-laws' house, that when they go back to detective work, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a murder solved.
Right. Their history is as interesting, if not more interesting. The last thing I want to ask you about is, we're going to try, and we love teasing stuff that we then don't deliver on. We're going to try and get a cop on here, because I thought that what rings so true is that these guys now have a clock on them. They got a 2-week clock, because that again, I'm just going to keep referring to him as Dick Cheney, the Dick Cheney chief of police, and Kevin Dunn without a backbone, and they talk about the machine eating Rust up, like the Governor Tuttle and his cousin, the Reverend Tuttle, and the chief of police, and they don't care about solving the murder. They care about seeming like they're solving the murder, and that's the difference to me between a good cop and a bad cop. And these guys know, and McConaughey knows instinctively, that as soon as you turn it over to this task force, then they may stumble into it, but what they need to do is calm people down. They need to, John Wooden, I'm going to paraphrase his quote about don't confuse activity with success. That's not quite it, but they're just, look at me, I'm open.
No.
Don't run around pointlessly, run around precisely, and the task force is going to run around and make everybody think, okay, good, the police are on.
Exactly, and the detail that Kevin Dunn throws out that I thought was fantastic, that gave you a sense of the world outside of that, was when he says, they're thinking about trying to turn satanic graffiti into a hate crime. It's like that tells you all you need to know about probably the atmosphere going on in the community that would probably rise up and be a problem if they didn't solve it soon. So it's very realistic that they now have 2 weeks to get it done.
Don't confuse activity with achievement. Thank you, Google, and thank you, Coach Wooden.
Real-time Google.
Okay, good. I'm into the show. I'm really into it, and I do like that. What you sold me on now is that, we don't have to worry about what turn they're going to make next season or stay whatever.
No,
six more shows.
And I'm
this crime's solved, and we're done.
We're in good hands.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.